So by now, everyone knows that Kirby Smart is the #1 head football coach in college football. He's the best. And a big reason why is because of what he does on the recruiting trail. And you got to remember, one of the biggest things Kirby Smart wanted to do when he was hired at Georgia was to be an elite recruiter, bring in elite recruiters around his staff, and do a great job of locking down the state of Georgia, or at least getting their top targets in the state of Georgia. And I'm not sure there's a head coach in college football who recruits the way Kirby Smart does. He gets after it. He knows it's a grind. He knows it takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of time. And he does a great job of finding players, some 5 stars, some 3 stars, developing them and turning them into impact players for his program that is going to be pushing and contending for national championships year after year after year. I don't think there's anyone out there better than Kirby Smart. And he was asked about that this weekend by Benjamin Watson, who said, "Kirby, we see you on the recruiting show. You're flying the helicopter around. You spent all this time out on the road recruiting. Basically, how do you do it? How do you become an elite recruiter?" And this is what Kirby Smart had to say. He said, "The home base I get to recruit from helps a lot. The state of Georgia supplies a lot of good football players. We had great starters when I was at Alabama from Georgia. The geographical standpoint or footprint makes it easier for a kid who wants to stay home, but you have to find the right fit. The kids that want to stay home and play for Georgia, they take a lot of pride in that. And I'm going to talk about that in just a second. The high school programs in Georgia are incredible, so you get to recruit the good established football players." He goes on to say, "What's changed the most is the portal and NIL," which makes sense, right? So the importance of a kid staying home, he now has the capacity to travel to Oregon, to travel to Southern Cal, and they'll pay for that flight. He said, "That's great, but we still have to keep our focus on our footprint. Sometimes I feel like we stepped away from that." And I'm going to talk about that in just a second as well. "But that's a big emphasis for me, to sign 50% or greater from our state, because those kids care a ton about winning games at Georgia." Now that comment kind of made me laugh a little bit, because Georgia hasn't done the 50-50 in-state, out-of-state since probably 2021, And I'm going to go about that and talk about that in just a second. But he is going hard in the paint, as the kids would say these days, in this 25 class. Georgia has, I think, 11 or 12 commitments already. I thought I had the number here. I've got the names. I'm going to talk about that in just a second. But they're going crazy hard in the 25 class, loading up on in-state players. And I'm going to go down the list in just a second and talk about other important guys who have helped Georgia win championships who are in-state guys. So, again, I'm going to talk about all that. But first, got to plug collegebronze.com, right? This is the #1 Bulldog statue on the market. Get yours today with a discount. Promo code DAWGPOST, DAWGPOST. You're not going to find anything like this on the market. And if you get it today, you're going to have it before the season, right? It takes a while to make this extremely beautiful 5-star product, right? So get it now before they start selling like crazy right before the season. So if you get it now, you're going to get it a lot sooner. Get yours today. This is the only place where you can get a discount, okay, on the best looking Bulldog statue on the market. 35 pounds of stone. It goes great anywhere in your house, front porch, office, back by the pool. You're going to love it. Promo code DAWGPOST, DAWGPOST, will be the smartest thing you've ever done. Okay, so in the 25 class alone, Georgia has a commitment from 5-star edge Isaiah Gibson, 5-star linebackers Aiden Walker, 5-star tight end Ellis Williams, Ethan Barbauer, tight end from Milton, 4-star Christian Garrett on the defensive line, Todd Robinson from Valdosta, Mason Short, Landon Roldan, Dontrell Glover, Jaden Prelati is still on the commit list right now, but he might be flipping to Tennessee. For now, he's on the commit list. Running back Bo Walker out of Cedar Grove, Thomas Blackshear out of Savannah. Again, they were loading up. They're going to do more than that 50% at this rate in the 25 class. That's with like 4 or 5 guys in the state of Georgia. I still think are leaning Georgia's way. So this class is going to be very in-state heavy. In the 24 class, guys who I think are going to make an impact: KJ Bolden, Daniel Calhoun, DeMello Jones, Nazir Johnson, Sokovia White. Handful of guys, right, in last year's class. 2023 was the complete opposite. They were crazy heavy out of state in that 23 class. The only guys who I could see making an impact who are from the state of Georgia: CJ Allen, Lawson Lucky, Gabe Harris. After that, it's a whole bunch of out-of-state guys. In 2022, it was a little different. Malachi Starks, 5-star, one of the best players on the roster, who was at SEC Media Days, one of the faces of the program. Michael Williams, another guy, one of the best defenders in the country, another face of the program. He's an in-state kid. He was from Columbus. Oscar Dell, right down the street from me, Western Side High School. He's going to make a big impact this year and has played a lot so far in his career. And then Kristen Miller, a guy who I think could take a big step forward. So those are your in-state guys there. 2021, great group. Great group. They signed a lot of talented in-state guys in the 21 class. Amarius Mims, first-round pick. Small Munden, starting linebacker. Dylan Fairchild, Micah Morse, two guys on the offensive line you're going to see a lot this year. Of course, Javon Bullard, 3-star. Georgia went after him. That was one of the many, I was going to say several, but many 3-stars that Kirby Smart has found that other programs didn't want. And he said, I'm going to turn you into a superstar. Listen, I've said this in the past. If Georgia offers a kid, Tennessee, Clemson, Auburn, Florida, Miami, everyone should be offering that kid the next day. If you're good enough to play for Georgia, you're good enough to play anywhere, okay? I know this because I know Georgia recruiting, right? Alabama may be a little different because they recruit at an elite level, Ohio State, but if you're not winning championships and contending for championships and you see Georgia offer a kid 4-star, 3-star, 2-star, whatever, they need to be offering, okay? There's not a single player out there that is good enough to play at Georgia, but not good enough to play at Tennessee or Auburn. It doesn't happen. That's not reality. So 21 class, they brought in a lot of guys. 2020, guys that love Georgia from the state. Broderick Jones, Ladd McConkey, Jermaine Burton. Say what you want about Jermaine Burton. He was an in-state kid who did make an impact before heading off to Alabama. Tate Radledge, multi-year starter. Nazir Stackhouse, multi-year starter. Warren Brinson, experienced defensive lineman. Dejan Edwards. That 2020 group was loaded with in-state guys. 2019, just a handful. Nolan Smith, Trayvon Walker, Warren McClendon, and of course Stetson Bennett. That's when he came on scholarship that year. 2018, they did not land Trevor Lawrence. And again, I'm not saying they land everyone, okay? It depends on the position. It's a lot harder for Georgia to land those in-state elite receivers for several reasons, and I can make a whole nother video about that. But if Georgia wants an in-state tight end, they're not missing on that kid. They want an in-state defensive lineman, more often than not, they're not missing on that kid. They'll get most of the defensive backs they want. Occasionally, Cale Downs will turn down Georgia for someone else, right? Xavier McKinney was from Roswell, went to Alabama. AJ Terrell out of Westlake went to Clemson. So it happens, but linebacker, Georgia's not missing on many linebackers in the state that they want. Offensive line, occasionally someone will go elsewhere that they want, but it doesn't happen often. Quarterback, they don't land everyone, but there's a lot of quarterbacks in the state. You can't take them all, right? But for the most part, depending on the position, Georgia will get just about every guy they want, and then other positions, not so much. But most positions, Georgia does a great job of getting their in-state guys. But that 2018 class, again, they didn't get Trevor Lawrence, but they got Justin Fields. That didn't work out, but it was a big deal. Jamari Sawyer, Quay Walker, Trey Hill, Azeez Ojulari, Kyrus Jackson, Chris Smith, Warren Erickson. That class was loaded with in-state players. 2017, Andrew Thomas, Richard LeCount, Jake Fromm, Devontae Wyatt, Eric Stokes. And just those 5 alone, 3 of them were first-round picks. 2 of them were 3-stars. Devontae Wyatt, he may have been a low 4-star at the end of the rankings, but he was a 3-star for a while. Eric Stokes, 3-star for a while. Andrew Thomas, I think was a high 4-star, low 5-star, depending on the outlet you looked at. Richard LeCount was a 5-star, I believe. Got drafted. I believe he got drafted late. 2016, that was the first full year of Kirby Smart's, I'd say full year. He only really had like 2 months to finalize that class. But Mecole Hardman stayed on board when Kirby Smart was hired. Ben Cleveland stayed on board. Charlie Warner, who's still in the NFL. Tyler Clark made a lot of plays. Elijah Holyfield. They did miss on Derek Brown. A lot of people thought Derek Brown was going to Georgia. Of course, I told everyone to DAWG Post he's not going to Georgia. He's going to Auburn. That's what happened. They were not surprised. A lot of other people were, not DAWG Post members. But you get the point. Kirby made a big-time emphasis on in-state recruiting, and he talked about that during SEC Media Days. And I'll say that quote again. Sometimes we feel like we stepped away from that, but it's a big emphasis for me to sign 50% or greater from our state because those kids care a ton about winning games at Florida. And again, that doesn't happen often. It will happen in this 25 class. It did not happen in 24. That was mostly out-of-state kids. Didn't happen at all in the 2023 class. That was mostly out-of-state kids. 2022, they had some guys in state. Most of it was out-of-state. But that 21 class was just about 50-50 in-state, out-of-state. And it came close in 2020, still more out-of-state. But the message is still clear. Kirby Smart wants to get the best of the best in the state of Georgia. Doesn't hit 100%. But for the most part, he does get his guys and will continue to do so. Thanks for watching this video. Get your Bulldog today. All the information, is in the description below in this video. Don't miss out. Get it today so you have it for the season. Thanks for watching. I'll see you on the website.